Hola, estudiantes de Español Uno. Today is your first grammar topic of the year, and you need to make sure that when you title your grammar topics, you put what unit it's in and the grammar topic number. So this is question words, and it's Unidad Uno, grammar topic 1. So write this whole thing down at the top of your paper. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is look at a really important question that really puts this grammar topic into focus and why is it important to learn question words. So the question I want to ask you is, how does learning to ask questions in Spanish open the door to evangelism? Why is it important? How does it help our command for the Great Commission? And how can we learn question words to put into questions to help share the gospel with people? And so you will probably be asked this question in a response or a reflection in class. So for this, just think about that question. You don't need to write an answer down or anything right now. And then also, the grammar is set up where we explore the grammar first, compare the grammar to English or to another grammar topic that we've learned already in Spanish, and then we look at how is that grammar organized. So now what do I do with all this information? So the first thing is exploring the grammar. It says, notice the bolded words in the following questions. What do they all have in common? You're actually going to answer that question, what do they all have in common, in your notes. So don't write anything down yet. You're just looking. Okay, so the first one is, ¿qué te gusta hacer? And then, ¿cuál es tu clase favorita? Don't write these down. You're just looking for things that these bolded words in green have in common. ¿Cuándo vamos a la escuela? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Por qué quieres el libro? ¿De dónde eres tú? ¿Dónde estás? ¿A dónde vas? ¿Cuánto cuesta el sombrero? ¿En quién es tu señor? All right, so again, we have qué, cuál, cuándo, cómo, por qué, de dónde, a dónde, cuánto, and quién. So I want you to answer this question first in your notes. Should be the first thing you've written down. What do all of these green words have in common? Okay, so pause if you need to take some more time to look at it and come up with your answer. All right, so now it's comparing the grammar. So you do need to write this part down here and this little note here. Okay, so not the in English part, but the part that starts with in Spanish. So first of all, in English, we introduce a question with a question word, and we finish the question with a question mark. Very simple concept that you probably have never thought about how to explain that to somebody, but we start all of our questions with the question word. So who, what, where, when, why, and we only put one question mark at the end. But this is the part you write down. In Spanish, the question mark is placed at the beginning and the end of the question, and the subject, if present, is placed after the verb. Now that's a lot, and the bolded sentence structure, the question structure below the sentence actually helps it make more sense, but write out the full sentence. So literally write out, in Spanish, the question mark is placed at the beginning and end of the question, and the subject, if present, is placed after the verb. And then this part right here that I put an arrow next to is the main part of the compare the grammar section. So this is showing you that instead of the way we do it in English, where we start with a question word and then put only one question mark, now we have two question marks. The first one is upside down. We have the question word, we have the verb, and then sometimes the subject, if it's present, it will go after. And then we have our closing question mark. Example, ¿Cómo se llama usted? This is a question you already know from the Mucho Gusto vocab video, and it's what is your name formal, okay, in a formal setting, or how do you call yourself? Remember, this literal translation is how. So, ¿Cómo se llama usted? Also, this is very important here. This ojo means pay attention, heads up, because you probably will make a mistake if you don't pay like really close attention to this. So make sure you write it down. Well, let's just say, write down the first sentence of it. Each question word in Spanish has a written accent over one of the vowels. Okay, each question word in Spanish has a written accent over one of the vowels. It must have an accent. I will count all for it. If I'm asking you to write out the question words, it doesn't have an accent, you'll get some points off. So please make sure. The reason is because sometimes if you have a word that is supposed to have an accent and you forget it, it turns into another word in Spanish. And I've done a few examples in class, but there are plenty of other examples. So just trust me, the accent is important to the meaning of the word, and sometimes it's important to the pronunciation. We don't have any written accents on English words, and you guys should probably know that already. Hopefully you do. But there are many other Spanish words that have written accents also. It's not just question words. Okay. So here's the part that's very important, is knowing the vocabulary of the question words. So what does the word actually mean? And then there's a little grammar note that you need to write down as well. So I want you to list these question words and their English translations in your notes. So list them as I say them. You can pause and then listen to them, or list them as you listen to them. So we have quién, qué, dónde, a dónde, cuánto, or cuánta, or cuántos, or cuántas, and we'll go over the grammar for that in a second, the little note with the arrow. Then you have de dónde, cuándo, por qué, cómo, and cuál. Okay, so let's pause if you need to, write the Spanish down, write the English down, and then next to cuánto, I want you to write this little note here. It's very important because cuánto is the only question word that does this. The ending of this question word changes depending on the plurality and gender of the noun to which it refers. In other words, the word cuánto is like an adjective. And in Spanish, the adjectives agree with the noun it's describing in gender and number. So there has to be this little nota gramatical, this little grammar note to help this make sense. So I know it's a good bit of writing right now, but you have to write this down also. So there's this important thing called a gender of a Spanish noun. And so in English, we just have genders of personal nouns like she, he, and him and her. So all those pronouns, we have a gender specific word for it. In Spanish, all nouns, even non-personal nouns, have a gender, and it has nothing to do with the person, a male or a female. It has a gender. Spanish is a gendered language, and that's how it is. It actually works out beautifully when it comes to pointing to biblical truth, if you guys understand what I'm saying, and we'll talk more about that in class. So in Spanish, all nouns are either masculine or feminine. Again, it has nothing to do with the person, but it has a gender. It has a gender, masculine or feminine. The most important thing here about the gender of Spanish nouns is that most masculine nouns end with an O, and most feminine nouns end with an A. Okay, there are some exceptions to that, and we'll talk about it in Unit 2, but for the most part, it's O for masculine and A for feminine. Also, plural nouns reflect the gender. So if you make a noun that is masculine plural, you add an S to the O. So now it's OS. And if you have a noun that is feminine and you make it plural, you add an S to the A, and now it ends with AS. So all of that is important because of the question word cuánto. Because it means how many. If I say how many books, the plural form has to match the word books. For example, ¿cuántos libros? If I say how many people, it has to be ¿cuántas personas? If I say how many classes, ¿cuántas clases? Because every word has a gender if it's a noun. When we get into that more, I will hold you accountable for knowing how to change the word cuánto to match the gender and the number of the noun. But again, that's just a quick little nota gramatical that is important, but we will reinforce in class and learn more about in class. So if you have any questions about the question words or how to use them in a sentence structure, you need to make sure you write those questions down, and you need to make sure that you actually ask me, because if you don't ask questions, I'm not sure if you are fully understanding the grammar topic. And because it's the first grammar topic, it'd be a good idea to start strong and make sure that you are thoroughly understanding them as we progress throughout Unidad 1 and then eventually into Unidad 2. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Pause, go back and get anything that you missed, and I hope you guys are doing well.